What up? What up?
What's up, man?
What's happening, little man? What's up, man? How you doing, brother? Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year to you too, man.
Yeah, man. So look, Hunnids Podcast, man. It's a Hunnid Mo, for the ground. Your boy Hamp. I got a big dog with me. Got a guest, and the little OG, man. So, what's going on, Julian, man? What's going on? What we tapped into, man? You saw that madness that's happening in DC, and at one point in time, Trump was your boy, man. What's your thoughts?
Honestly, man, it could have been aborted. All of that could have been aborted. They knew weeks in advance that the rally, whatever you want to call it, protest was happening. So my thoughts are the president could have jumped ahead of them and said, "Hey, don't come. We're still in the pandemic. Stay home. Stand back. Stand down." The president decided not to do that. So you see the end result of it. So that's my thing. It could have easily been avoided, in my opinion. Easily.
Do you think that they're right in calling for the what is it 25?
My 25th Amendment,
man. They calling for the 25th Amendment at 2-5, man. You think it's premature? You think that it's right on time?
I say timing is everything. It's not the first time I done heard, the 25th Amendment being thrown at the president. I think I heard it probably around the impeachment time. As far as, hey, if the impeachment doesn't go through, let's enforce the 25th Amendment. I can understand people panic. If America can see just a taste of that, and it really wasn't a full-out push, in my opinion, of the president just pushing it, saying, "Hey, let's show America who we really are." I'm like, you got 10 days left. What's the day? The 7th? You got 13, 14 days left. No telling what the person is capable of. So Facebook, Twitter, they not trying to take no chances. They like, no, we're gonna go ahead and disable all your accounts. We don't want to give you no access to the world to where you can have any more influence on people. Like the speech the president gave yesterday, I looked at it, I dissected it. He went back and forth. He'll say, "Hey, this is not right. You need to go home," but then he'll interject and say, "Hey, the election was stolen from me." So I'm like, you indirectly throwing subliminal messages in there, and still giving people energy, you indirectly saying it, but you directly fueling, your supporters, your base, and getting them amped up. What happened, man, it should have never happened. It should have never happened at all.
Do you think that those that participated in that madness yesterday? Hold on, I'm gonna cut this down, man. Cut this volume down. Do you think that those that participated in that madness yesterday, man, do you think they count that as a victory or just step one in a bigger war, if you will, a bigger battle?
I'll say both. They probably count it as a victory, and then they'll probably try to build upon it, use it as motivation. I look at it as something that major, but in that short amount of time, I don't know if that was planned. I don't know if they scoped out the Capitol as far as a plan of attack, how they gonna force their way through. But you and I both know on an average day, Capitol Police strapped. They just don't have pistols on their hip. They got AR-15s. They walking around strapped.
Mm-hmm.
So and they're limited on resources right now when it comes to manpower. So if you got 15, 20,000 people coming in, and you got 5,000 swarm on one location, it's very easy to say, all hands right here. We need all the manpower we can. Now you leave all your other entry points weakness. You leave them vacant. They're vulnerable. So once you start shifting your manpower to cover one area, you leaving one spot unmanned, uncovered. So it makes it easy for them to penetrate the way they did. Because if you look at it, when they penetrated, man, it happened quick, like a flood.
Yeah, but I'm looking at a lot of tweets and a lot of posts going out. People are saying that there was a different response to Black Lives Matter protests than it was a response State protest. And to me, I know why. Because we were dying. And I think that there were people on our side that were willing to die to be heard. Hence, you saw the response. When I don't know if you were watching CNN, ABC, or whatever, but CBS seemed to have that real coverage. And when it came down to crackdown time, Virginia State Police came in with throwing bombs, throwing bows, and I saw that those folk were cowards. They not really willing to die for what they believe in. You get what I'm saying? They willing to stand, burn, destroy, use their privilege, to be heard. But that's where it goes. So what do you say about, the two different responses from the government, police department, to the protest back in June to what we saw, was it January 6th?
In my opinion, man, growing up in Mississippi, I got to see what privilege is all my life. So to see that, it wasn't a shock to me. For some people, it was like, wow, if that would have been black folks, it would have been told out, it would have been a different outcome. But I'm used to seeing it, so it doesn't shake me up. But for everybody that wants to debate, say, there's no such thing as white privilege. I'm like, you just saw a textbook example of it. You just saw a textbook example, and you see the privilege on both sides. You see it from the protesters, and you see it from law enforcement engaging with the protesters in a manner that is non-aggressive, non-hostile. The police are being very polite with them. They're talking to them, trying to calm them down. I'm looking at protesters yelling at the police, but I'm not seeing the same thing from the police officers. Now, when the curfew came in, the MPD came in on that night shift. That night shift was a different beast.
The boy.
that night shift was very different. The night shift was, they was busting heads. They wasn't talking. They wasn't trying to be polite. They was like, hey, 6 o'clock curfew. You still here, so you know what's about to happen. And you see them ramming it off at the mouth, and all of a sudden, and then you just see a mass retreat. My only thing is, why couldn't Black Lives Matter or the people that participated in the protest for Black Lives Matter during the George Floyd situation, why they couldn't just get the same thing? I didn't see a mass presence of law enforcement, like I did, for Black Lives Matter. But at the same time, it shows you textbook examples of how Black and brown people are treated when it comes to protesting, and how Caucasians are treated. I don't have to sit there and say that's racist. All I got to do is just let you look at it and see for yourself.
When I've been watching this Netflix special called Manhunt, and this particular season they focusing on the individual that bombed at Olympic Park, 1996, I believe it was, and it's something that's kind of similar. That the individual that actually wound up doing it, he was sheltered, helped by these people that basically are the same people that were out there, causing all that ruckus and sedition. Is that what they call it, sedition? So I'm asking you, do we got something bigger to worry about here? Do you think that there is an organization of different organizations and movement for something that's bigger?
I would say, yeah.
Or do you think it's just, they just gonna wait till 2024 when, if Trump can escape any potential charges or whatever to vote again? Because either way, they got a leader in Trump, and these people that did, going on the steps and the dude with the horns, they charge them, they convict them, they're gonna be martyrs. You get what I'm saying? How do you fight that? Is there something bigger that's going on here?
I believe so. I mean, yesterday should be a what I call appetizing to what could really, really happen. What I saw yesterday, that looked like a daytime version of The Purge, in my opinion. It looked like a daytime version of the purge. You know, do I think something worse can happen? Oh yeah, most definitely. Because if individuals are capable of penetrating the Capitol like that, whether they armed or unarmed, what's the outcome of them coming together if they're armed? So if we see what they did unarmed, some of them are armed, some of them are not. Just imagine what devastation they can cause if all of them are armed and they on one accord. So you have those groups out there that are like that you know, they have those hidden agendas. And you know, as far as African Americans, I think, you know, we need to be aware of that, and we don't need to sit back and wait. You know, I encourage all African Americans, go get your, your pistol permit, you know, your license to carry, you know, go to the gun range and learn, YouTube, look at different guns and analyze them, and, you know, go try them out and shoot them and arm yourself with a gun. You know, buy as much ammunition as you can, because, you know, it's no hidden secret. You got people out there that got 20, 30,000 rounds. They ain't not buying it because it's going out of style. You know, everybody always talk about the apocalypse, you know, the war or something. You know, I've been hearing that all my life. I'm pretty sure you've been hearing it. So something is lurking. Some, you know, I think we're gonna have a big war eventually. You know, and it might be a race war. I see it happening now. I think it's just a matter of time before both sides meet up, and there's no point of return. I think it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen.
Word. With a Democratic president coming in with a Democratic controlled Senate, right? How you think the next 4 years is gonna be different from, you know, what we've been going through these past 4 years?
I'm hoping that the next 4 years can merge, you know, both sides together for the betterment of the people. You know, because as an elected official, you campaign for people's votes. You know, you work for the people. You know, you serve the people that elected you to that position. So therefore, I'm hoping that we can just move past the last 4 years, learn from our mistakes, whatever mistakes made in any administration. You learn from it, you move forward, and hopefully this entire country just can get back together on somewhat of a cohesive, you know, unity. You know, right now we're divided. You know, it's evident. You don't have to turn on the TV to see how divided we are. So hopefully with the new administration coming in, we can get together on legislation and figure out, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to give $2,000 or are you going to do $6,000? You know, we got to figure something out.
Where can the Republican Party, you know, where do they go from here?
You hit the reset button. You honestly have to hit the reset button and just realize you take an L and you just say, hey, look, last 4 years, we bit our moves we can chew.
But that's so what I'm asking about. My fault. Go ahead. My fault. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I'm just saying, you know, we learned a lot. So it's just a matter of, in my opinion, I would like to see the party itself just engage more with Black and brown community. And I'm not talking about engage in those communities when it's time for a vote and you need their vote. No, go engage with them now. Go engage with them and just sit there and listen, because they got a lot to say. They're going to tell you what the problems are. They're going to tell you what they like about you, what they don't like. And they're going to ask you, okay, how can you help us? Here's my problem. How can you help? And we're going to have to acknowledge, you know, our faults. You know, the Republican Party got to acknowledge, yes, we've done this. We apologize. How can we move forward? How can we help? How can we help the communities? Because at the end of the day, if you're not in the communities with the people, when it comes time to run for office, they're not going to give you a vote because, one, you're not trying. It's not hard to engage the Black and brown community. It's not hard.
But at the same time, right now, man, the eyes of the world, you know, are watching. You know, people are watching. And I don't think Republicans can just hit the reset button without taking some form of action, i.e. Article 25. What about these Republicans that stood up to try to challenge? I know it's their right. I know that it's the law. You get what I'm saying? It's the quote-unquote American democracy. But after what we saw, you know, yesterday, terrorism on the Capitol, for those people to still stick to, some of those people still to stick to their objections, you know, to me, it has to be something a little bit deeper than just hitting the reset button.
Well,
if you don't make a separation, then you have those same people that storm the Capitol voting Republican again in 4 years. And to me, I really think the Republican Party still, at the end of the day, wants those votes. And that's going to be the biggest problem and challenge for the Republican Party. There's not going to be a distance. It's going to distance itself for Trump, but not those voters.
When I say the reset button, this is what I mean. The old guard has to get voted out. They have served their time, they have served their purpose well beyond the expiration date. That doesn't mean they bad people. It's just that, in my opinion, if you've been on Capitol Hill as elected official before the internet was discovered, it's time to come home. If you was on Capitol Hill when they was pumping gas behind the license tag, it's time for you to come home. If you was wearing bell bottoms to work and you still there, it's time to come home. That doesn't mean that some of those politicians are bad. It's just that you need fresh blood with new ideas. I believe in term limits just for the simple fact you have a constant cycle and it keeps it fair and reasonable. Just like the state of Virginia, a governor can only serve 4 years at a time, not consecutive. And I like that just for the simple fact, okay, you've had your 4 years, you've done what you can do, let's give somebody else a chance. If you want to come back, you can. We're not saying you can't, but right now it's time for some fresh blood and with some new ideas to come in. And I think it's going to take that. So, you know, you're going to have more people that's willing to get involved in politics. I'm not saying decide to be a Republican, decide if you want to be a Democrat. First, just get involved in politics. Just understand the basics. Just understand how developments happen when it comes to commercial real estate and things of that nature. When you got a housing community coming in, a brand new subdivision. When you got those developers coming in, you gotta go to the city hall when they have those meetings and they send an invite out to everybody. But if you don't go to that, one, because you may or may not know, okay, that's understandable. But when we know better, we do better. Mm-hmm. So therefore, once we know, once we educate ourselves, then you got to ask yourself the question: okay, how long? You know better. How long is it gonna take for you to get in the game and make some change? You can't sit back and just sit on the sideline and say, "All right, I'm gonna sit back and just pray and God just gonna fix everything." No, you got to implement the ingenuity. Whatever you know, bring it to the table. Because what you don't know, you learn along the way. You saw me when I first got in politics. I didn't know everything I was doing. I had to learn. As I made my mistakes, I had to learn. I had to do a lot of research. And a lot of the research you do is the research on yourself. How do you identify? What are your core values? What matters to you? I can tell somebody, family matters to me. My son, everybody just saw my son, 4 months old. That matters to me. My wife, family matters to me. Healthcare. Making sure that we have a viable, reliable, active healthcare so people can go and get the help that they need and not have to worry about, I can't go to the hospital because I don't have healthcare. Education, I'm big on education. College is great. I have a college degree, so do you. But I believe in the trade. My first job was cutting hair. Everybody can go to college and go get a job. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you go get a job and you're making money, somebody got to change that oil in your car. Somebody got to cut your grass. Somebody got to build that house for you. Somebody got to put you a new roof up. Somebody got to pull that concrete slab for you. That's when we got to bring the trades back. Everybody don't want to go to college. Everybody don't want to go to the military. So you got to have options for people.
Well, Trump said he's going to bring back coal. Hey, look, man, I'm messing with you, bro. Hey, look, man, I got to get ready to tap out because we got another interview we got to do. We got to do this again. So, look, before we get up out of here, man, I need you to let everybody know, like, what you got going on next, how they can get in contact with you, all that. Because I'm going to post this up tonight on Instagram, tomorrow on YouTube. So
next, I'm trying to figure out 2022 elections coming up for the state of Maryland. So trying to interview those candidates. You got folks already declaring to run for Congress.
So you're not gonna give me an exclusive that you're gonna run in 2022?
No, I'm not running in 2022. I can tell you that.
Okay.
I'm not running in 2022. Everybody want to know when I'm running. I'm like, hey, you know when I know. I gotta, it takes time. You just don't jump out there like that. So I mean, if it's meant for me to run, I'll run. But at the end of the day, I love politics. It allows me to channel a different energy. I've interviewed a lot of people all across the United States. I think the last person I interviewed was the new district attorney in Cobb County, Georgia. So where Auburn was killed, that's his district. And the whole purpose of that interview was to show people what are the duties of a district attorney. How much power does a district attorney have? So not if we have another George Floyd situation, but when we can better channel our energy and our time. So we're not just protesting and rioting and tearing up our communities. We're gonna go right here to the courthouse and we're gonna sit there and wait for the DA to do what the DA is supposed to do. If not, we know he's coming up for re-election. So if you want our vote, we're gonna hold you accountable to do your job right. And that's what a lot of us gotta understand. You gotta understand certain things, how they flow, how the legal system flows. So we don't keep getting the same end result of charges are dropped. The grand jury decided not to file any charges.
Mm-hmm.
So once you start knowing who are the key players, now we can start getting justice for for those victims. They can't speak for themselves.
Right. I'm with you, man. All right, bro. Well, look, man. Y'all know who it is. Y'all follow him. Tap in at Julian Boykin. It's your boy Jay Hamp. Hunnid Mo for the ground, man. Y'all tap in season 3. We up out of here. Threw it up, man. I see you, boy. Hey, man. Congratulations again, man. Happy New Year, brother.
Appreciate it. Happy New Year to you too.
All right, bro. Stay up, man.
Will do.